Hello, this is Rick Jackson, Chief Marketing Officer for Qlik. Welcome and thank you for joining the Qlik Sense Introduction webcast. Now, many of you may have heard of the project QlikView Next, where we embarked on an aggressive project to redefine the possible for self-service data visualization and discovery. The result is a next-generation application called Qlik Sense that brings the power of visualization and discovery to every individual through intuitive drag-and-drop operations, giving them faster time to insight, leveraging smart search and smart visualizations, as you will see in our demonstration today. Qlik Sense broadens knowledge sharing across the organization with anywhere, anytime collaboration on any device with its responsive mobile design. And most importantly, self-service in the business doesn't mean chaos across the organization, because Qlik Sense is designed with enterprise-class governance and performance, ensuring more consistent and reliable results. During this webcast, please feel free to use the Q&A tab in the Presentation Manager to submit questions that Anthony and myself will do our best to answer at the end of our presentation today. And now, I'd like to introduce you to Anthony Deighton, the Chief Technology Officer for Qlik, who will take us through the new world of Qlik Sense. Anthony?
Thank you, Rick. This is Anthony Deighton, CTO for Qlik, and I'm very excited to share with you Qlik Sense. Qlik Sense is about helping you simplify decisions in your business by allowing you to unleash your intuition. Qlik Sense lets you do three important things. First, stop waiting for IT. This is a product anyone can use. Number two, Qlik Sense allows you to control the chaos associated with Excel anarchy and people downloading data from reports. And number three, Qlik Sense lets you find unexpected insights in the data, those gems that really help move your business. Sense is an offering which anybody can use. The challenge today is users lack the information they need to make important, timely decisions. They have to rely on others in order to do analysis for them. So why is this? For one, information is often stale or out of date. People wait for IT in order to give them the data they need to make decisions. And so as a result, they're relying on their gut in order to make those important business decisions. And IT is busy as well. They have a backlog of requests, and they're busy trying to fulfill those requests and help people move their business forward. And also, existing self-service tools often have very poor self-service capabilities. So users can't do it themselves, and they're forced to rely on others to help them. So our opportunity is to provide users with a tool that they can use themselves and get them out of the waiting game with IT, waiting for them to give them the data they need to make those important decisions. So let's take a look at the first demo, where I'm going to show you how Qlik Sense can help you do self-service visualizations and answer your own questions. Okay, so we want to see how Qlik Sense can be so easy that anyone can do it. And we're going to start where a lot of us start, on our desktop. And in many cases, we might have a bunch of data, and we want to get insight out of that data. And it just so happens I have a spreadsheet with a whole bunch of data in it, lots of sheets, lots of data. And of course, everyone on the call can see the insights in this data, right? Of course not. It's incredibly difficult, and it'd be very difficult to get insights out of this data using Excel. And wouldn't it be great if we had a tool where we could instantly see some of the insights in that data? Well, that's Sense Desktop, something that everyone on this call can download for free off of our website. So let's go ahead and create a new app. We'll call it, wow, this is fast. We'll go ahead and create it. Now, how are we going to get that data from the spreadsheet into Qlik Sense? Wouldn't it be fun if we could just drag it and drop it? Sense is smart. It sees the sheets. Each of the sheets has a set of data in it. It figures out that it's in Excel. And I just check off the sheets I'm interested in. Boom. Hit load data, and we're off and running. Now from here, I can see how Sense has gone and interpreted and understood all the data in that spreadsheet. It's figured out the associations between all those data elements, and all that data is ready for me to analyze. And from here, it's as simple as dragging and dropping. Let's put a bar chart up here. Maybe we'll look at product category and the sales by each product category. And let's toss the country and the customer as list boxes. There you go. Now, what does it take to wire this bar chart together with this data? Nothing. Just click. Here you go. Canada, here are the top product categories, sales by product category in Canada. Here are the 3 customers in Canada, and here are the customers who are not in Canada. So, super easy, in a few seconds, dragging and dropping, able to take data from this to meaningful and insightful analysis like that in a few seconds. Now, this is Sense Desktop, but where Sense really shines is when you're looking at it on a server. And I happen to have a Sense server available to me right here. Now, the first difference you'll see when you're looking at Sense server is down the left. These we call streams. And streams are useful ways of organizing analysis that I have the security rights to see. So here you can see a bunch of analysis for finance, some HR analysis, and a piece of sales analysis. I also have a private workspace right here, which allows me to work and create my own apps right here on the server. Now let's take a look at this analysis here in the sales stream. Opening that up, right here in my browser, I'm off and running. Looking at each of these sheets, I can see rich, gorgeous visualizations that allow me to get an overview and an insight into the data. Let's take a look right here at some of our sales rep performance. Now, I'm interested in understanding how it can improve the performance of my bottom performing sales reps. And I know there's some information in here about our low performing sales reps. But I'm not sure what field or what data, I don't really understand sort of the data model. I don't know what field to go look for. So I start where most users start, by searching. So I'm interested in low performers, and Sense is smart. It says, do you mean low fat, low or lower, or low performer? And when I select low performer, you see there's a field, sales rep performance, with a value, low performer. Clicking on it makes the selection. And here are my low-performing sales reps. Let's look at these bottom 3 reps. As I make selections in Sense, you can see that all the visualizations update instantly. Here you can see my sales by margin, high margin, low margin, high sales, low sales. Now, this is a little small for me to see, especially on this small screen, so let's go ahead and make it really big. When I make it big, Sense's responsive design shows me more labels and more of the details that I need in order to get the insights that I need. And if I'm interested in these products here in the lower left, these are high margin products that we're not selling a lot of, clearly an opportunity. And they're red, letting me know that we're losing customers on these products with our low performing reps. There's clearly opportunity here. I can zoom in and get the details I need about those products. Right. Sense also shows me that there's a bunch of data over here to the left, right? Always giving me a heads-up display of where am I in this visualization. Clicking home brings me back so I can see an overview. Now, if I'm interested in these products over here, I can just go ahead and select them. And now I can get that overview right here. Now, clearly there's some opportunity with these products over here, but I'm interested in looking at this from a geographic perspective. And here's that same information with the native mapping capabilities in Qlik Sense. And instantly you can see, while we sell well in the central, southern, and western regions, we don't sell anything in the Northeast. But Sense also gives me another piece of information. If you look up here, you can see in the sales rep field, there's a small number of sales reps that are green. These are the ones we've selected. And a set that are gray. These are excluded. But you can also see that there's a new color in Qlik Sense, a light gray. And this light gray are sales reps who are also low performers, but that we're not looking at currently. And there may very well be opportunity to learn something by looking at those. I can select those by selecting the alternative. And here are those other sales reps. And you can see they have sold well in the Northeast. So there's an opportunity with those high margin products, and there also seems to be an opportunity in the Northeast. Now, in some ways, what we're doing here is a bit odd. If I were really going to tell you about performance of my sales reps, I wouldn't sit here and analyze it in front of you. I would have done that work prior to our meeting, and I'd come to you with some conclusions about what was going on in the sales organization and how we could improve performance. I would come to you with a narrative or a story. And it turns out I've done just that. Here's a story that I've prepared for you about the sales rep performance in our organization. As I bring this story up and step through its sheets, you can see some of the same insights that I was just showing you previously. Here are those high margin products. Here's that Northeast region with no sales. And you can see a set of additional insights which I didn't show you as part of our co-analysis experience. And here I talk about the opportunity in fresh vegetables. It's my conclusion that the way we can improve performance of our sales organization is by focusing on selling more fresh vegetables. Now, if you've ever been in a meeting like this, as I have, it's very typical for the person you're presenting to push back or challenge your conclusions. And what's our typical response in situations like that? Well, I understand your concerns. Let me rerun my analysis. I'll come back to you next week. We'll have another meeting. We can do better. With Qlik Sense, I can take any of these snapshots in my story and go back to the source. And when I go back to the source, I'm looking at that exact same visualization, but in the context in which I took the snapshot. And so here you're looking at the revenue for the central region showing the opportunity in fresh vegetables. And if you pushed back and said, well, look, is it different in the Northeast? I can say, look, here it is in the Northeast, fresh vegetables, really important category. In the South, again, fresh vegetables, number one. Now in the Western region, that's wine and cheese are the top product categories, which makes sense. California is in the Western region. They drink a lot of wine, eat a lot of cheese, but fresh vegetables is in the top three, so clearly a good opportunity. Now, having addressed your concern about my conclusion and convinced you that fresh vegetables are a big opportunity, I can step back into the story right where I left off and finish my narrative. So as you can see with Qlik Sense, we combine the storytelling experience with the analytic experience, allowing you to easily traverse between those two experiences. So what we were looking at is Sense through a browser. Wouldn't it be great if everything I did also worked on a mobile device? Well, here's my iPad, and you can see the Sense Hub with all the same analysis available to me, but through a mobile device. Now, typically when I show a demo, we show building through a PC and consuming through a mobile device. But I'm going to try to make things a little more challenging here, and I'm going to do building from a mobile device where I showed you previously consuming on the PC. So here's that same set of analysis, but on my iPad. And you can see that all the visualizations have re-rendered with the iPad's screen size. Everything works just as I would expect. Now, I'm interested in doing some extra analysis. I'm interested in seeing how this information lays out by product subcategory. And to do that, I can go ahead and add a new sheet. We'll call this sheet the Super Easy sheet. Super Easy. There it is. Now, from here, building my own sheet is as easy as drag and drop. So maybe I'll put a scatter plot over here, put a table right here, And maybe we'll put a map right here. I'll actually split this one in half. There we go. And so with a few point and click and drag and drop, I'm able to get to a super easy interactive analysis. What does it take to wire all these things together? Nothing, just works. I can go ahead and select a couple states and look at the sales versus margin, maybe take a look at those high margin products again, right? Point, click, easy, no wiring, everything just works. Now, many of you are saying, well, hold on, you're cheating. That was too easy. You just dragged and dropped out of a library. Well, the library is an incredibly important part of Sense because it gives me a set of artifacts that I can use to build quickly using the work that the person who built this application left behind for me, or as I like to call it, standing on the shoulders of giants. Now, maybe I want to build something a little more complicated. Maybe I want to build a table. So we're going to put a table right here. Now, Sense tells me that in order to build a table, I need a dimension. And here are a set of dimensions ready and waiting for me in the library. So we'll look at it. I said I wanted to look at it by product subgroup. We'll put that right there. And let's look at the budget dollars, how much we budgeted. We'll add that. And let's look at sales dollars. Off we go. And there you are, a table with exactly the information I wanted. Now, that's something I might reasonably have done in Excel, exported the data, and built a table like this. But in many cases, people want to put the data in Excel because they want to make it into a chart. Well, we can do that easily in Sense as well. I'd like to see this as a scatter plot. And so now I've converted that table into a scatter plot. And what does it take to wire this scatter plot up with the other analysis I have? Nothing, just works. And there's that same analysis wired together on my mobile device. Quick, simple, and easy. And it even works on my iPhone. So here's that very same analysis waiting for me on my iPhone. Now on the iPhone, we clearly have a much smaller screen. And so we do work to render the analysis in a slightly different way. We actually stack each of the analyses one on top of another. And so you can see all of those charts but arrayed as a vertical column. But all of the same behavior still exists. So if you want to make a selection, let's take this scatter plot. We can open it up, maybe select a couple of these high sales products, confirm the selection, and the selections work just as you would expect, including giving you a complete overview of everything you've selected. Let's add anchovies. Everyone likes anchovies. So everything works both on an iPad and on a small form factor like this iPhone and through my PC. So with that, I hope you've gotten a good sense for both the mobile, self-service, and visualization capabilities of Qlik Sense. So what you saw in that demo is how with Qlik Sense, we use drag and drop to be able to get access to data quickly and easily, how a user was able to find and navigate those visualizations, how they were able to do that on their mobile device, how they were able to use search, and how they were able to extend that analysis with self-service with drag and drop creation from the library. And we also showed you how with storytelling, we can move to a narrative experience with the product. So now let's talk about controlling the chaos. How do we create governance and manageability on top of self-service business intelligence? The challenge today is that people typically go around BI systems, exporting data to Excel or downloading data from reports in order to answer the important questions that they need in their business. They're sort of going around the system. And this is because traditional BI systems are too hard to use. They lack flexibility. People don't get the information they want out of the report, and so they do the natural thing. They export to Excel and do the work themselves. Downloading data and putting it in Excel undermines the trust and integrity in the systems that we have for managing data as an enterprise. Once I put the data in Excel, I can do whatever I want to it, And then the meeting becomes about the data, not about the decision we need to make. And everybody's sensitive to the security risks and implications of users downloading data, moving it into external systems. We don't want this data walking out the door on a USB drive. We want to make sure that everybody's working off the same data and that that data stays within the company. So our opportunity is providing access to data and information in a way that's easier to extend, easier to control in the system, while providing an easy-to-use interface for users to make decisions. So let me show you a demo of how we do this in Qlik Sense. In this demo, I'll show you how we can create a balance between the needs of IT to control the system and the flexibility and performance that the user needs to answer questions in their business. So in the last demo, we showed you how easy it was to create content. Now let me show you how we can bring governance and manageability to that content. You remember I was in this consumer goods analysis, and I'd created this sheet we called Super Easy. Now with Sense, we can do an important new step. We can take this sheet and publish it. And publishing is a very powerful concept because it moves the sheet from something that I own to being something that was published by me for the community. So here you can see the sheets that are approved, part of the app. Here are the ones that are published by me, and here's the work that I'm doing in my own private space, my sheets. So my sheets, published by me, and also approved sheets. And were I to log in as a different user, you'd be able to see this sheet published by me. Now when we began this demo, we showed you all of these different streams. Let me show you how we create these streams and how we can add governance and manageability to that. Here we're on the Qlik Management Console, and this gives me an overview of all of the capabilities I have to manage the system. Now I've logged in as a content administrator user, and what's important about this is that each administrative role in Qlik Sense have different rights. Here you can see I can't manage licenses, I can't configure the system, but I can do important work like publishing apps, managing users, and managing streams. And let me show you streams. Here you can see the different streams that are in the application. You saw those earlier. Let's create a new one. We'll call this one Important Sales Analysis. So here's the Important Analysis stream. And when I create this stream, I get to create a set of flexible rules about who can access this. So I can say users with a particular name, or members of a particular group, or I'll do something a little fun here. We'll say users whose browser contains Fire, as in Firefox. Now I can add other sub-rules, group these together with ors and ands, a lot of sophistication and flexibility in what I can do with this rule. So here is the Important Sales Analysis stream, and if I go to this logged in as this user who is in fact using Firefox, you will see that Important Sales Analysis shows up because he's using the Firefox browser. Now here, we're creating a new stream with a very flexible rule, but one of the challenges with governance and manageability is auditing. We want administrators to have an easy way of understanding the effect that their rules have on the system without having to log in as that user. So if I'm interested in a particular app, who has access to a given app? Let's see what apps our CEO has access to. So I can select CEO, I can look at the apps, and I click the audit button. And here is a list of all the apps that the CEO has access to, and importantly, what rights or controls they have over that app. I can change this. Maybe I'm interested in, what the admin has access to. And you can see that they have access to a different set of apps and have a different set of rights against those apps. So audit is an incredibly important part of how we can make governance and manageability part of the system. Lastly, we provide with Qlik Sense a whole set of management tools to be able to allow you to be able to analyze your use of the systems, First, the operations monitor gives you an overview of all of the critical tasks that are going on in your environment. And secondly, the license monitor lets you optimize your license usage of the product. So in this demo, you got to see how in Qlik Sense we provide the governance and manageability that the IT needs in order to provide a system that users can trust, but giving the user the flexibility and power they need to be able to answer questions in their business. We did that through sharing of information, and we showed you how with the flexible and powerful rules system, IT can provide real governance and manageability, and they can audit and manage the results of that work. All right, now let's turn our attention to how we can find the unexpected insights in our data. The real value of Sense is that it's built on the Qlik engine, and the engine provides visibility and insight in allowing users to see associations and relationship inside the data. With Qlik Sense, we provide a unique associative interface to the data, which allows users to ask and answer questions, often questions that they're coming up with at the spur of the moment, allowing them to sort of surf the data, if you will. So with Qlik Sense, we allow users to find those unexpected hidden insights in the data, answering questions that they didn't even know they had when they walked into the product. Qlik Sense gives you an overview of all of the data in your system, and the associative interface allows you to see how data is connected and the relationship among those data. Being able to make decisions with a full view, an overview of all the data in one go, is a unique capability we bring with Qlik Sense. So let's see how this works in practice. In this demo, we'll walk through a couple of examples of how users can get unexpected insights in their data through the use of Qlik Sense. So now I want to show you how Qlik Sense allows you to find unexpected insights in your data. Here's that same app we were using earlier, and here's a sheet in that app. This sheet contains a really powerful visualization I wanted to point out for you. Here we see the sales of products sorted by their inventory amounts. Now clearly we would expect to see products that we sell a lot of containing a lot of inventory because we want to avoid stockouts. And you can see that that's the case because Sense combines two powerful visualizations in one. On the right, we have an overview of the entire bar chart. Thousands and thousands of bars shown right here on the right, compressed to give you an overview of the data. But on the left, we show you just the bars that you're looking at right here. And what's powerful about this is that you can quickly see outliers in the data. You can see that most of the products we sell a lot of contain a lot of inventory, which is what we would hope. But there are a couple of products like this one, which clearly we sell a lot of, which we have which we don't sell a lot of, and we clearly have too much inventory. And we can go through and just pick out these outliers, right? Let's go look at a couple of these, right? So these are products that we're not selling very much of, but they were holding too much inventory. And this represents huge opportunity for us. With a few clicks, we've picked off the 7 products which we hold a lot of inventory of, but we don't sell very much of. Now let me show you another way that we use, that we have really powerful visualization capabilities to find unexpected insights in the data. Let me jump over to this analysis right here and our sales versus margin scatter plot. You may remember this scatter plot from earlier in the demo. So here you can see those same products which represent such an opportunity for us. These are products that we don't sell very much of. We hold too much inventory of that product. And if I'm interested in seeing how this compares to the overall distribution, as I clear the selection, you can see we animate the shift between those two selected states. If I go back, here's the selection of low sales, high inventory products, and here's the total set. By animating this shift, Sense lets you visually see how this fits into the overall analysis. And again, you can see those fresh vegetables that we talked about earlier. So human beings have a natural ability to be able to see motion in data and be able to see how things change. And we take advantage of that here in Sense to let you see an important insight in the data. So in this demo, you were able to see two quick examples of the unexpected insights that users were able to gain out of their data through the use of our unique associative technology. Now let's change gears a little bit and talk about how Qlik Sense and Qlik View work together. As many of you, I'm sure, are well aware, when we introduced Qlik View to the market, it was about closing the accessibility gap between traditional business intelligence tools and spreadsheets. Qlik Sense is about broadening this offering, bringing the power of these capabilities to a new group of users. Sense is about opening up the power of the Qlik View engine to a whole series of self-service visualization opportunities. And importantly, it's built on the same associative data indexing technology that powers Qlik View. So for those of you who are familiar with the famous green, white, and gray, as you've seen in the demo, and as you know, that power is underneath Qlik Sense as well. And so we have two products in the market. Qlik View, a market-leading data discovery platform, allowing customers to build guided analytic apps. And Qlik Sense, a next-generation self-service data visualization app, letting customers bring the power of data visualization and self-service to everybody. Again, both built on the same associative data indexing technology. You can think of Sense and Qlik View as two sides of a coin. On the one hand, Sense, self-service visualization, and Qlik View for guided analytics. But importantly, in between these two applications is a common data layer, allowing Qlik View users to quickly get going with Sense by leveraging all the work they've done in building a data layer for Qlik View. Qlik Sense adds to the Qlik product family a whole set of new use cases, extending the power of our engine to ad hoc visualization and rapid visualization sharing. And this is just the beginning. With Qlik Sense, we have a robust feature roadmap extending over the next several years. We have a whole set of rich capabilities for individuals and groups and organizations. And where are we going? For individuals, we're adding a whole set of new visualizations, adding predictive and comparative analysis. For groups, we're extending the work we're doing in storytelling with a whole set of new social and collaborative capabilities. And for organizations, we know that great visualizations comes from great data. And so we're adding a whole set of capabilities around managed data and smart data loading. With that, I want to thank you for your time and attention and open the webinar up for whatever questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. So thank you very much for attending this webcast. We're now going to move officially to the Q&A session. First off, I just want to let everybody know that a recording of this webcast will be made available. If you registered for the webcast directly, you will have an email sent to you following this webcast with a link to the recording. The recording will also be available off of the Qlik.com website in approximately 1 week. So please do share the link with friends and comrades and other personnel within your organization. And in the meantime, let's start with our Q&A. So first set of questions, we've got several questions about the licensing of Qlik Sense. So I think it'd be worthwhile to just provide a quick overview. Qlik Sense does come in 2 editions. We have the Qlik Sense Personal Edition, which is also often referred to as the Desktop Edition. This version is free. It's available via Qlik.com for a free download. It is a fully functional visualization application that runs on a 64-bit Windows desktop. You can do everything that you saw Anthony doing within the application itself, but as you start to get into organizational usage, governed data models, library, needs for mobile requirements, etc., then that's where you would actually leverage the full Qlik Sense product, and some people refer to that as the server edition. The full Qlik Sense product uses a token-based licensing scheme, which means that you pay for tokens, but all the infrastructure and the servers are essentially included in that token price, which gives companies the ability to deploy as many servers as they require to support their performance and geographic requirements. Tokens are paid for individually. There is a minimum order of 5 tokens as a starting point for Qlik Sense. And tokens represent either a dedicated or a named user, or tokens can also be applied as what we call a login session. So a token will support multiple login sessions within a month time frame. For specific pricing information on tokens for Qlik Sense, please contact either Qlik or your local partner directly. Now we also have, evidently from the questions, quite a few QlikView customers. And so there's a lot of questions about QlikView and Qlik Sense compatibility. Now we see Qlik Sense as really expanding on QlikView and enabling organizations to push self-service analytics out further in the organization because of the simple drag and drop, easy to use environment that Qlik Sense provides. But there are some questions about compatibility between applications that were developed in QlikView and Qlik Sense itself. So Anthony, maybe you could give us just kind of a little overview about compatibility between the two products.
Sure. So you can take an app you've built in QlikView, a QVW file, and you can open it directly in Qlik Sense. And the data model and the ability to load the data will translate 100%. So they come over directly. So if you have an existing QlikView, you can open it in Qlik Sense, all the data will be there, and if you hit reload, all the data will be refreshed, reindexed. What you then get to do in Qlik Sense is take advantage of the new user interface and the self-service capabilities. A lot of those self-service and governance capabilities, of course, occur when you put the Qlik Sense app up on the server. So you can open a QVW file in Qlik Sense desktop. You can also import it into the server and again, data model and data loading and indexing translated 100%. And then a lot of those other capabilities added as you put it on the server.
All right, terrific. And one of the questions that came up is about putting Qlik Sense and QlikView on the same physical server.
And generally speaking, the answer is no. And the reason for that is that we expect the workload between QlikView and Qlik Sense to be quite different. With Qlik Sense, we expect there to be server-based development. We expect self-service app creation, and that puts a very different load on the server. In addition, since Qlik Sense and QlikView share the engine technology, and the Qlik engine, the Qix engine as we call it, has been designed to take full advantage of the underlying hardware and memory, it would be very likely that there would be quite a bit of conflict if you tried to run them on the same server. So certainly we expect that customers running Qlik Sense will want to run it on its own dedicated pieces of hardware, even potentially multiple pieces of hardware, multiple servers, that kind of thing.
Anthony, we seem to have several questions kind of related to data and sources of data. Can you talk a little bit about the sources of data that are available to Qlik Sense?
Sure. So all of the sources of data which are available to QlikView are available to Qlik Sense. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with QlikView, that may not be a very helpful question. So let me help by enumerating some of the many sources of data that you can have in both products. So as you saw in the demo, we used Excel data just because Excel is sort of easy. any sort of local file data is typically accessible using QlikView or Qlik Sense. So that would be things like Excel, comma-separated value files, XML files, any local text text file. In addition, HTML and accessing any of those common text formats over HTTP is supported, so things like web services. The next very common set of data are databases. So any database that you can access through an ODBC driver can be accessed through Qlik Sense or QlikView. And then lastly, we do ship connectors for SAP and Salesforce.com, acknowledging that those data sources require special connectivity. And so, again, those connectors are available for both Qlik Sense and QlikView.
Terrific. Anthony, can you speak a little bit to how someone might embed Qlik Sense into either websites or other applications?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something we did not cover very well in the demo, perhaps a bit beyond the scope of a simple webinar. But the simple answer is that it is easy to embed Qlik Sense in a website, or for that matter, the other way around, being able to extend the visualizations that we have in Qlik Sense. So let me kind of go through those two in a little bit more detail. So the APIs that we make available to you as a customer, or if you're a partner, are the same APIs that we make available to our internal developers. So that means that if you want to build your own visualization in Qlik Sense, you have access to the same APIs that our developers had access to build, for example, the scatter plot or the bar chart. So that's obviously a very powerful capability from your perspective. It gives you a lot of flexibility to be able to add your own visualizations if that's something you'd like to do. Then the opposite is also true. So if you want to take a visualization that we have in Qlik Sense and have it embedded in a website, so perhaps you want to have it as part of a Salesforce.com deployment or part of an operational application you have in your environment, all of the objects inside Qlik Sense are available to be embedded. In fact, every object has its own URL, and so you can actually reference the objects directly. There are, of course, other more programmatic interfaces, but just to give you a sense for how easy it is. And lastly, we actually even make the engine itself available as a service. So you don't even need to use the visualizations that we provide. You can actually call the engine directly, have it perform calculations, and then embed the results in whatever app you're building or writing. So we've worked really hard in Qlik Sense to make it incredibly open, embeddable, and make it the most open tool in your infrastructure.
Sure. Thank you, Anthony. Now, there's several questions about QlikView 11, and with respect to the roadmap. I would suggest that we're probably not going to answer questions on QlikView's roadmap, but I will address the question specifically that QlikView does have an ongoing roadmap. We're still committed to enhancing, supporting, and maintaining QlikView on an ongoing basis. And if you'd like more information on the QlikView roadmap, there's a great opportunity in November at the Qlik World Conference being held in Orlando, Florida. Please visit our website if you'd like to find out more information about that. There's been some questions about the scripting language between QlikView and Qlik Sense. Any more details you want to provide on direction of scripting with Qlik Sense, Anthony?
So the script syntax between QlikView and Qlik Sense is exactly the same. So they're, in a very literal sense, if you have a script in QlikView, it will run 100% in Qlik Sense. There are some enhancements in Qlik Sense, specifically having to do with governed data connectors and things like that when it's on the server. But again, a QlikView script will run in Qlik Sense. Longer term, and just speaking more broadly to the roadmap, there's quite a bit of development effort around enhancing the drag and drop and really kind of point-and-click interface to loading data that you'll see over the course of 2015 as enhancements that will complement the script, which is really kind of a power user interface, and bring that capability to more users.
Also, several questions from the audience that have asked, what's the difference between Qlik Sense Personal Edition and the full Qlik Sense product. Maybe, Anthony, you could touch on a few of those points.
Sure. So, Qlik Sense Desktop is a Windows desktop program that runs obviously on your Windows desktop, and as such, it has the security context of your local desktop. So any data that you have access to from your desktop, you have access to in Qlik Sense Desktop. So for example, local files, local Excel documents, local text files, that sort of thing. And also if you happen to have on your desktop ODBC access to databases, either literally databases local to your PC or ODBC connectivity to a server database, those are accessible through Qlik Sense Desktop. And there's no limit to data size or anything like that on Qlik Sense Desktop. Now, what you get when you add the server is all of the governance and manageability around that. So obviously a server can have access to very different data sources than you do on your local desktop. And so we've added a whole set of, because you can do server-based development with Qlik Sense, we have added a whole set of governance and manageability around who gets access to what data sources and what rights that they have to those. And then also the sharing and collaboration capabilities we demonstrated with Qlik Sense. So being able to add your own sheets, add your own, create your own visualizations, and share those with the community are something that is unique to the server edition. And then lastly, this concept of streams, providing a security context for what you have access to as a user is unique to the server edition.
Thank you, Anthony. And there are data sheets available for both editions on Qlik.com if you'd like more information on that. So a question here, Anthony, does Qlik Sense give the user the option to export data to Excel or to print a visualization or send a chart to PowerPoint?
Yep. So the export to Excel is in there, although we'd like to believe that you don't need to do that because you can do a lot of what you need to do by just dragging and dropping. Export to or saving a visualization as a PDF or exporting it into PowerPoint are capabilities which will come in due time. So not available yet, but will be available, definitely on the roadmap.
And another question, do we have the option for automatic refresh from SQL Server in order to avoid the loading data button?
Yes, is the simplest answer to that question, absolutely. And actually, well, just to add to that briefly, not only obviously can you do it behind the scenes and on a schedule without intervention, but it also happens, as I would say, outside the user process. And what I mean by that is the user, there's no interrupting the user who's playing around and self-serving and doing visualizations. When the data gets refreshed, it simply shows up in their dashboard. They don't have to do any work for it to show up. So in fact, you can even run reloads on separate infrastructure, separate hardware, so that it doesn't have any impact on the current user sessions.
Okay, thank you. Here's a question, Anthony, for you. Will direct discovery, cyclic groups, and all objects be available in Sense?
So direct discovery, yes. Cycle groups, there is currently a drill down group in Sense. There will be cycle groups coming, although it'll be implemented slightly differently, frankly better.
Question here, does the data need to be tidy before uploading, or does Qlik support ETL capabilities as well?
Yes, so ETL, I always say we support ET and no L, meaning being able to extract the data from a source and then T'ing it, transforming it, that we have a lot of capabilities for transforming the data as we ingest and index it. But there's no need to load it into a different data source. Obviously, it's going to come into Qlik Sense. So the simplest answer is yes. The data does not need to be clean or well normalized. It can be fairly messy, and we have a lot of capabilities in the engine for dealing with challenging data. We
have another question here, obviously from a QlikView customer about sharing licenses between QlikView and Qlik Sense?
So no, the licenses are not shared between the two products. However, working with your account representative, you can transfer a license from QlikView to Qlik Sense.
Okay, a question here. Can Qlik Sense apps be downloaded so that they can be added to a version control system, or do they only live on the server?
So there's sort of two questions embedded in there. So the first is, can they be downloaded? And the answer is yes. The second is, can they be put into a version control system? And that is a capability which is coming. So those are sort of different, in a way they're sort of different questions. But anyway, hopefully those are clear answers.
Do we have any specific RAM requirements that are needed for the Qlik Sense server?
No specific requirements, other than, again, as a general rule with an in-memory approach, more is better. And I don't mean to be funny, but I mean, the nice thing about Qlik Sense is that given additional memory, it will take advantage of it, which means it will, we can build a very large cache, and we can take real advantage of whatever you give us. So again, as a general rule, more is better, but there's no specific requirement or limitation.
Okay. Here's a great question for you, Anthony. Providing self-service access to end users, isn't this going to create chaos?
What a great question. Look, at some level, if you stop the question at providing self-service, does that create chaos? The answer is yes, probably it would, which is why we've spent so much time and energy in Qlik Sense building a governance and manageability capability from a server perspective. The goal here is not just visualization self-service, but the goal is visualization self-service with governance and manageability as embedded as part of the tool set. So, in a sense, I agree with the essence of the question, which is unfettered access for data and visualization does create chaos. But I don't think that Qlik Sense creates chaos because it has behind the scenes a strong governance and manageability infrastructure.
Anthony, can you comment a little bit about Qlik Sense's cloud capability?
Yeah, so Qlik Sense was architected from the beginning to run on the cloud. And so that means that we'll run on Azure, Microsoft Azure, or we'll run on Amazon AWS. We'll run on private cloud infrastructures like a VMware private cloud. In fact, just as a sort of side note but point of validation, internally we run our deployment of Qlik Sense on Amazon. And we run a very large VMware private cloud as part of our development process, where we do automated testing against a VMware cloud. So, we are 100% confident that it runs well on cloud infrastructure because that's what we do internally.
And can we talk a little bit about the Qlik Sense app sharing currently in beta for Qlik Cloud?
Sure. So, when you make Qlik Sense Desktop available to users, the very natural thing that happens is they download the desktop, they build something interesting, and they want to share it with someone. So to facilitate that sharing, well, let me say it a different way. The obvious way to share would be to have an implementation of the server, which you could then use to share. The challenge with that is that not everyone has access to a server, and so we've stood up Qlik Cloud as an infrastructure that anyone can use to share the work they're doing on Qlik Sense Desktop. So, yes.
And Anthony, can you talk a little bit about the different device support for Qlik Sense?
Right. So, in the demo I showed an iPhone and an iPad. We also support Android tablets. There's actually a full set of supported platforms documentation on our website. So exactly which versions of Android tablets and exactly which other supported platforms, I would sort of point you there just to make sure I don't screw it up and say the wrong thing. But it is certainly certainly we also support Android tablets. They weren't as easy to show on my screen with the with the fancy technology I used. So, but yes, it definitely works.
Here's a great question here. Can you recommend some training videos to learn Qlik Sense?
You should be able to answer that.
And I think we can definitely point you to Qlik Community as a great resource that we are starting to build out, where we've got some online videos that help you get started with Qlik Sense, as well as supported FAQs, and then of course the value of peer-to-peer suggestions and best practice sharing, all available via Qlik Community. And anybody can have access to that, and you just need to register with the community and then have at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting question here. Is Qlik Sense the same as what was previously advertised as QlikView.next? And the answer is that QlikView.next was the project name, and Qlik Sense is the outcome of that project. I don't know if you want to add anything further to that, Anthony.
Yeah. Well, no. Other than just to say that there is yeah, I think you said it well. Qlik Sense is the product. It is the output of the QlikView Next project. There are other outputs of the QlikView Next project that we haven't announced yet, but Qlik Sense and Qlik Sense Desktop are the first. Maybe that's a better way to say it.
Okay. All right. Anthony, any comments on Qlik Sense and big data?
Sure. So as we'd mentioned previously, the capability we call direct discovery, the ability to call out directly to big data stores, is available in Qlik Sense, and so that's sort of one dimension to the answer. The other is we have great partnerships with folks like Teradata and Cloudera around big data storage, connections to big data systems like that. So we feel quite comfortable with the overall strategy as it relates to big data. One point I'd like to make here, because I think big data often means many different things to many different people, but often what people mean by big data is Hadoop. So as I mentioned, we have a great partnership with Cloudera, but more generally as it relates to Hadoop, one of the great values of Hadoop is it's really schema on read, and so when the value is you don't have to define ahead of time what schema you intend to analyze. You can do that on read. Well, it turns out that's a great match for Qlik Sense, which similarly can imply a schema on read and works very well with that underlying system. And to the extent that you're interested in what Qlik looks like in combination with Hadoop, we have a great case study on our website for a company called King.com, which people may know better as the company that makes Candy Crush. In any case, they have a great story about their use with Hadoop.
All right. I'm just going to fire off two more quick questions before we end this webcast. One, there's several questions about being able to write data back to its original source.
Yeah, so there certainly are ways of writing data back to the original source using things like extension objects. So that it's certainly something that I've seen done with QlikView and Qlik Sense. But what I'll be very careful to what I want to be careful to say is that we don't see the Qix engine as a database, and we don't expect people to write back to the in-memory store with the intention of persisting it. So it's certainly not part of the design goal. Okay.
And then one final question, which is where can I find more information about extending Qlik Sense?
Yeah, so we've spent a lot of time and energy in this release in the area of documentation. So maybe it's not the best demo in the world, but I do sometimes actually show off the documentation because it's really very good. And in fact, there is some great documentation on the APIs, including code examples, etc. And I'd also point you to Branch, which is a new community we've launched, community founded branch.qlik.com, a community for developers who want to extend the Qlik platform. So that's another place you can go.
All right. Thank you very much, Anthony. And I want to thank everybody again for attending this webcast. As I mentioned earlier, a recording will be made available and emailed out to those who registered directly and available via Qlik.com in approximately 1 week's time frame. So thank you for your time today, and we hope that what you saw was compelling and that you'll join the Qlik Sense family of users. Thank you.